I'm really sorry that they were pursued in a way that they found distressing. Whatever the truth, I'm sorry they've been through that. But unfortunately, the truth is proving very hard to get at. And the picture agency who employed the paparazzi who pursued them are playing hardball. They really are. They are talking back to the Duke and Duchess in a way that you would not expect over here. I mean, Backgrid, the agency, have said, no, we're not going to give those pictures back. No, I mean, your kingly ways don't work in the United States. Weren't you aware that in the United States, the person who owns the property owns the property? You can't suddenly demand them back. So they've been told in no uncertain terms that the demand will not be adhered to.
Is there, I mean, we all know that Harry in particular seems to be quite a big fan of litigation. Is there any sign that they might be taking legal action over what happened this week?
Well, they may well. They are very litigious indeed. So the next step, I mean, a lawyer issued the demand for the photos to come back to them or be given to them. So, yes, that could well be the case. As you know, Harry is already involved in at least 4 cases over here, one of which is against the Home Office about the level of his security. But what people need to sort of recognise, perhaps, is that there is a royal rota system in this country. And under that, press are given access to royal engagements. And in return, since the days of Diana, when things were really bad, when I was reporting for the BBC, and things were bad, since then, there has been very different rules of engagement. And if you breach those rules, which say that there must be no intimidation, no harassment, no persistent pursuit by journalists or paparazzi, but by journalists, and official photographers, if you breach those rules, then you get kicked off the royal rota and you won't get to go to any engagements. And it's a system that works, but Harry and Meghan are no longer part of that, obviously.
And the rules are very different in America, and sort of like, you know, as someone that's worked on newspapers all my career, including covering the period you're talking about with Princess Diana, it never made sense to me for Harry and Meghan to leave a country where the press, certainly after Leveson, are very regulated. And as you mentioned, Jenny, the royal rota applies, and, you know, you don't want to get thrown off that because it's very important for royal coverage. To move to a country where none of those rules applies, and you are pretty much fair game. Do you think Harry and Meghan are going to end up regretting what they've done?
Well, you would think so, yes, because they have moved to Celebrity City, haven't they? LA, or the outskirts of LA. Obviously, the paparazzi, that is Paparazziville. So it doesn't make any sense they've jumped out of the frying pan into the fire, it would seem. But they have to make a choice. How are they going to go ahead? Are they just going to keep a low profile, have a very quiet life? What they mustn't do, in my view, is to get engaged in a pursuit or car chase, whatever we're going to call it. That surely must be the last thing they must do late at night in New York. I mean, stay where you are. Ask the police to intervene. Eventually, they were given an escort back to where they wanted to go by the police, and it worked. But the last thing that Harry particularly needs to do is get involved in a car chase. I can't understand how that happened.
And as far as we're aware, Jenny, neither King Charles nor Prince William have been in contact with Harry over this. What do you make of that situation?
Well, if it's true, and none of us knows if it's true, we just don't know whether Charles in particular has picked up the phone to his son. I don't think William would. But what are they going to say? Look, I'm really sorry this has happened, but I told you so.
Dads always say that, though, don't they?
Yeah. But, the rift is very deep. But we don't know. It's very sad if Charles actually can't be the bigger man, perhaps, and pick up the phone to his son and say, look, this has been distressing for you. Are you OK? Look, maybe he has. We just don't know.
And have you been surprised, Jenny, one final question, have you been surprised by the reaction to this story? I mean, was it the way Omid Scobie, who I can never quite work out, is their official spokesman or not, put the statement out about the near catastrophic, the language was the rhetoric was very inflammatory, wasn't it? Have you been surprised about the reaction on both sides, in America and here, to sort of like the levels of disbelief this story has generated?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was going to be a big story as soon as I saw the flash on my phone saying near catastrophic car chase. I mean, it was going to be a major story. The trouble with the fact that recollections clearly vary about what went on. The trouble with that is that it reignited the whole debate about whether Harry and Meghan see the world in a different way to many of the rest of us, whether they see insults and offence where perhaps it doesn't exist or at least isn't intended, whether they exaggerate things. And that's what the debate has been about. And as it stands, we don't really know the answer, but we do know that whatever happened in New York was very upsetting for them, and they've got to find a way for that not to be repeated.